Alrighty, this video is for Justine, but I figured I'd post it on YouTube because I know a lot of people have the same question. How many calories do I need? And then how do I set up my macronutrients? So many people have that question. I get asked it all the time. And the reality is setting this up is very simple. Very simple. So we'll dive into it right now. The first concept you need to understand is energy balance. That is to say, the amount of calories you consume will dictate the trend of your body, whether or not you are gaining or losing weight. You've probably heard the term calories in versus calories out. That is physics. If calories are consumed in excess, you will put on weight, mostly body fat. If calories are, the calories that are consumed are less than your maintenance, less than homeostasis, over time you'll end up losing weight. So if the goal is to lose body fat, you need to make sure you're in a nutritional deficit. So that's the idea of energy balance. And how do you know how many calories you need? Well, the first thing you need to do is find your maintenance. And a really easy way to do this, it's not perfect, but it'll get us across the line, is to take your current body weight, multiply it by a few different numbers. So if you are lightly active or even sedentary, maybe you work a desk job, you don't move very often, you don't train very often, you're going to multiply your current body weight times 13. If you're lightly active, you train a few days a week, maybe you do some yoga, some Pilates, get about 5,000 to 8,000 steps per day, maybe a little bit more, you'd be somebody who's considered moderately active. You train, again, a few days a week, you push yourself, then you multiply your body weight by 14 to 15, giving yourself a range for your maintenance. And if you're very active, you train every single day like an athlete for at least an hour a day, then you can set that multiplier from 16 to 17 times your current body weight. So once you have that caloric range, all right, and remember, this isn't perfect, but it's going to give you a ballpark. The next thing you got to do is figure out what your goal is. Do you want to gain body weight? Do you want to lose body fat? Do you want to stay at maintenance and recomp? You got to figure out that goal. For many people, their goal is to lose body fat, to lean out, to reveal their muscle. And so a good approach is to take that maintenance number, subtract 500 to get your calorie goal. So for example, let's say somebody has a calorie goal of, after they've done that equation, 1,500 calories. Okay, Justine, let's say that's your goal, 1,500 calories per day. Next, you're gonna set up your macros. How much carbs, protein, and fat do you need? One of the things to understand is that protein, carbs, fat, none of them are evil and none of them are magic. But there is a range that you're gonna be optimized in. And so the first thing you're gonna set is your protein. You need at least 1 gram per pound of lean tissue. But you can go all the way up to about 1.25 grams of total body tissue. So if somebody's 150 pounds and they have 100 pounds of lean muscle, their range of protein would be somewhere between 100 grams of protein up to about 180 grams of protein. I recommend setting a goal right in the middle. Let's say somebody's new and they struggle to hit their protein goal. They weigh 150 pounds and they have 100 pounds of lean muscle. Let's set them at 110 grams of protein just to get them started a little bit higher than that lower basement range. Now, protein has two primary utilities. One, muscle protein synthesis, the repair of your body from breakdown, and two, to fight off infection. After you set your protein, we're going to set your fats. The primary function of fats is to promote positive hormone function. So to promote a healthy internal system. The thing about fat, dietary fat, is our body doesn't use it very efficiently. So it takes more energy for us to burn fat, which is why when we overconsume it, it typically just gets stored. But you do need fat, especially women. Men need it too, but women typically need a little bit more fat from their nutrition. And so a good range for setting your fats after you set your calorie goal. Again, we're going to use the example of, let's say you need 1,500 calories a day. You set your protein, 110 grams. And then I'm going to pull up MyFitnessPal so it can do some math for me here. Then you set your fat. Let's set the fat a little bit higher than 30%. Let's set it at 33%. Okay? 55 grams of fat, 110 grams of protein. You might be saying, 110 grams of protein, 55 grams of fat, that's way less fat than protein. But remember, fat has 9 calories per 1 gram. Carbs and protein has 4 calories per 1 gram. Our body is more efficient at processing those macros than it is fat. So the reality is 55 grams of fat, that's more calories consumed from fat than the 110 grams of protein. Okay, moving along. You set your total calories, 1,500. You set your protein, 110 grams of protein. You set your fat at 33% of your total caloric intake. That's on the higher side, remember. Now what do we do with carbs? Well, we just fill in the rest. So you always backfill with carbohydrates to hit your total calorie goal. Carbs are not essential, but they are very helpful and useful. Carbs, contrary to popular belief, do not make you fat, and they don't even really get stored as fat. Only 2% of the glucose you consume, the carbs you consume, actually can get stored as adipose tissue, as fat. So carbs are a really good tool. Think about it. Fruits, veggies, potatoes, grains. Carbs in their pure form are not foods that you're typically going to overeat. Crumble cookie, caramel macchiato, a bunch of processed sugar, you'll overeat that stuff. Chips, you're going to overeat that stuff. But carbs are not junk food, right? A lot of people will make that association. Oh yeah, carbs are bad because cookies, brownies, those are baked goods. That's just junk food. So that is how you set up your calories to find your maintenance and then make the caloric adjustment based off your goal, whether that be to gain weight, maintain weight, or lose weight, and then set up your macronutrients. Protein, it's a range. The bottom part of that range is 1 gram per pound of lean muscle to about 1.25 grams of total body weight. If you're overweight, that upper range wouldn't really be applicable to you, but you do want to make sure you're at least over that basement number. Set that goal. Next, you set your fats. For most people, 20 to 30% of total caloric intake coming from fats is great. The last thing you do, fill in the rest with carbohydrates. This is where the work begins. This is our hypothesis. You then have to live out your life, adapt your lifestyle to these goals. And over time, you want to collect data. A lot of people, what they do is they'll set their calorie target, they'll set their macros, and then they'll just forget they ever did it. And they'll track haphazardly and say, oh, this isn't working. You need data and you need time to really change your body. So make sure that you deploy patience, make sure you have a clear vision of where you're heading, and realize that if you're trying to change your body and your life, it's not only going to take time, but it's going to take intentional effort, and it's going to take breaking patterns that you're currently following to achieve a whole new result. So Justine, hopefully this video is helpful for you. Hopefully this video, for whoever comes across it, is helpful for them as well. And I hope you achieve all of your fitness goals. Take care.